You're still live here on TV3, and we are crossing over to Parliament for the vetting of the President's nominees. Currently being vetted in Parliament is Thomas Nyako Ampem, the Deputy Minister Designate for Finance, who is being vetted by the Appointments Committee. Let's cross over now.
Your other position where you were District Chief Executive, and it's captured on page 2 of your CV. Page 2 of your CV. Are there notable achievements that you can apprise this House of? The former DC for Esojaman, things you are very proud of.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as a DC, I led in the development of Esojaman. I provided a number of clinics, school buildings. I did a lot, supported education, and that is why the good people of Esojaman continue to support me in my current capacity. Thank you.
The chair, still on his CV, page 2. Let's stay at the same page. Your role as Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization Secretariat, Office of the President. Any key lessons that you are carrying into the ministry?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, sorry. Mr. Chairman, yes, the IMCC Secretariat was a secretariat that was established to support in the coordination of decentralization issues. And when I was there, we were being supported by the European Union with a program estimate that was funded to deepen decentralization exercise. And we did a lot at that time. I learned a lot of lessons there, and I'm going to bring that to bear in my new role. Thank you.
The chair, he can take this on a lighter note. But now that the president has, found you and has nominated you to become, soon to become or confirmed deputy minister, your seat is one seat the MPP has been looking for a very long time. In my days as a youth organizer in the Eastern region, would you consider giving up a Sojaman seat now that you have been nominated as the Deputy Minister of Finance?
Mr. Chairman, is that what will make him recommend me for approval? But on a more serious note, Mr. Chairman, I rather would want to entrench the seat. It has been swinging. I took the seat from the MPP, and that is why you haven't forgiven me up to now. But I think I'm gradually making a statement that you should keep your hands off Esojaman. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, on that note, let me commend my friend highly for his nomination. I wish him well, and I wish him God's blessings. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Hadia Lali, please, it's your turn.
Thank you, Chairman.
Take the floor.
I would have gone that way, but already I've given them more than enough job to be doing there because there's no news. So I will not go there. Let me congratulate you as an in-law. Maybe I've not been worrying you so much, so you don't know. But I appreciate you so much, especially being on the finance committee with you all these years. You have exhibited everything about finance on the committee and out there. And I believe that this appointment is in the right direction. I pray you succeed at the ministry. I want to ask you one thing. Most probably, because you are not yet there, you might be assigned to be the deputy minister in charge of revenue. There is one loophole that I have observed. And I think and believe that if we put an eye there, it will go a long way to help us. If you are confirmed, it's the market tool. You see, in those days, we used to have what we call ticketing, giving of tickets and taking. You go, you give the ticket, you take the money, and you have to. Would you consider ensuring that we take up this form of making money or collecting revenue very seriously? Because we have promised to take away the e-levy, and inshallah we will do it. We need to get money. The issue of Donald Trump and making sure that the USAID doesn't function again is a big problem. We need money. Will you consider going out there, working, advocating, and ensuring? Don't become an armchair deputy minister, so that these revenues can be collected properly to support us, and for that matter, the market women, and also to make sure that, you see, the women's bank, that bank, the bank that we said we would make sure would come up to help, it comes to fruition. Because I will not want to be asked. If I'm asked, I will come and ask you. Will you recommend and work hard? If you are, because you cannot take the decision by yourself. You are a deputy minister. You are not the minister. Will you consider working hard to make sure that these market tools are collected properly? When you are done, then I will come back with the last.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, market tolls are one of the sources of revenues to our local authorities, and so we will encourage them. I know that our assemblies are not able to generate enough revenue, and so we'll see what support we can give them to encourage them to do so. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I know what some people will be expecting from me, but all I want to tell you is I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Hajia.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I'll still stay on the right and give Honorable Shaibu a chance, and then I will come to leadership and we will bring proceedings to a close. Thank you.
Speaker, Mr. Chairman, let me thank you for the opportunity. Honorable nominee, congratulations.
Thank you.
As for me, I won't talk about in-lawship. Well deserved. A young man with a very big post. Tells the confidence His Excellency has in young men. I've said it here several times. And so, please don't disappoint, so that young people will not have the opportunity tomorrow too late. I know you will make young people very proud in this country. Let's do board. I know of cocoa board. I know of several other boards. But what is this animal called gold board? Can you walk us through what it's about and why you think that it's something to set up? What are the advantages that we seek to draw from that? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the gold board is...
Chairman, just by way of bringing clarity to my learned colleague's question. So, you are not yet at the ministry. And if you've not been briefed, you've not been briefed. If you learn about it later, you learn about it. You know, just to be sure.
Okay, thank you, Leader. I was going to give the little information that I have about it, but I'll respect his views, and then because I was hoping I'll finish before he comes. And now that he's here and he's giving me a cue, I better take it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Please go ahead. Is that a follow-up?
Chairman, leader has completely diverted the young man's attention from the very good question that I asked. But let me just go a little bit. So let's run away from the gold board. And I know as for scholarship secretariat and its problems, you cannot run away from it. I'm sure some of your constituents will be on the scholarships outside. The perennial issue of stipends not being paid and the rest of that. Then they tend to blame the scholarship secretariat. But they don't manufacture money. You are the ones to provide money for the scholarship secretariat to cater for the students. Can you tell us what support you would want, or what advice you would want, or what plan you would advise your minister when giving a nod to make it quite sustainable so that the students out there, we don't get the videos that we receive from various countries about the suffering of scholarship, students under scholarship. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Respectfully, before I go to the scholarship secretariat question, I want to briefly say something about the gold board question that he asked, because I see that the gold board is something that the Minister for Finance is very passionate about. And if you will realize that even though we have been recording BOP surplus for the last couple of years, basic economics tells us that once we have a balance of payment surplus, it should strengthen, the local currency should be strengthened. But we are not seeing that, and that brings into question what is really happening. And the suspicion is that the forex that we earn all do not come back to support the local currency. And so the concept of the gold board is it is going to be analogous to the cocoa board, and it will be targeting the small-scale mining sector to make sure that the revenue we get from gold export is used to support and strengthen the city. The issues about scholarship secretariat is unfortunate. I think we need to plan properly, give scholarships to the number that our budget can support. And also the Ministry of Finance will have to support in the prompt releases of funds to support so that students don't get stranded in areas that are in other countries, as we have been seeing previously. So I'll support my minister in the direction that he determines for us to be able to do these. Thank you.
On this note, let me wish you the very best in your new role.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of the leader, Honorable Patricia, and then the leader.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, Honorable Ampim. The nominee is one of a number of sons I have in this parliament. And I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you for making us proud. I know you're a very calm person, but I feel that it is about time that we also know who you are. So, Honorable, looking at your CV on page 2, would you like us to put it on record that Fairfax County Public School, because I observed that in one school you were a substitute teacher, and then you have another school, VRA JSS number. But Fairfax County Public School, I don't know where it is, whether it's one of the Ghanaian schools, or you need to indicate exactly what you do. Have our permission to put on record that is not in Ghana but is outside Ghana? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's in the U.S.
Honorable
Virginia,
nominee.
USA.
Yeah. Honorable nominee, have you ever served on the Committee of Gender and Social Protection?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in my first term in Parliament, I was on that committee. I was actually a deputy ranking member, deputizing Honorable Haji Aladi.
Honorable, I wonder why I don't find that on your CV. Are you ashamed that you were put on that committee?
Not at all. I'm very proud. I'm actually a he for she, so it is an omission, and forgive me.
Do I take it that you have your permission to correct it on your CV?
Yes, madam. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Nominee, get the correction. Thanks.
Thank you. Honorable nominee, my first question may be, what unique qualities do you believe make you the best person for this position?
Mr. Chairman, aside my experience, I think I'm a very good team player. And I have served under the Minister for Finance, Dr. Cecile Attoforsen, on the Finance Committee. And many of members here were also on the committee, and they can testify that I'm a very good team player. So I bring that unique quality to complement the efforts of Dr. Attoforsen to deliver on his mandate at the Ministry of Finance.
Honorable nominee, as a proud he for she ambassador, I'd like to know from you that many women-led businesses struggle due to lack of financial access. How would you advise your minister to advocate to support female entrepreneurs and other small-scale females in other small-scale industries? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, His Excellency President Mahama and Vice President Professor Nana Opoku Ajiman are passionate about this, and that is why they advocated for the establishment of a Women's Development Bank. If you are kind enough to recommend me for approval quickly, I would go and support the Finance Minister in the direction that he would determine for us to put in motion the process to actualize this important campaign promise. And that will help provide financing for female entrepreneurs.
Honorable nominee, my follow-up question is that, are you suggesting that we don't have other existing institutions that deals with such problems?
Not at all, but what I'm suggesting is that President Mahama intends to place focus on this through the establishment of the Women's Development Bank. I did not intend to suggest that there hasn't been any mechanisms to support female entrepreneurs.
Yes, sir. Then are you confirming that there are other existing institutions like the Gather Enterprise Agency, and then the LEAP, and then some, and NIP, that's what I mean, and the Maslow, and there are so many. Like,
yes, Mr. Chairman, there are so many that are available for everybody, both men and women alike. This is a special focus on women, and that is the only difference.
Honorable, who is going to be the shareholder for this particular intervention?
Mr. Chairman, these are fine details that I do not know. I would work with the minister to fine-tune these things, and they will definitely come before this August House. And so, taking a cue from the admonition, I get to the ministry. Thank you.
Well, have you read your manifesto?
I have, but it's a source doc. I pray that the minority leader does not request that I go and bring it here.
I think you have to refer us to the provision of the women's budget. There's a clear provision. Please read it. Do you have it?
Unfortunately, no, I don't have it.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Minister, designate. Recognizing that women and children often face disproportionate impact during economic downturns, what specific measures will you introduce to ensure that our budget incorporates gender-responsive principles? Could you please give us a detail of how gender impact assessment might be integrated into the budget formulation process to allocate more resources to programs in healthcare, education, and social protection targeted at women and children? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, one way that we can do this will be through the processes of our budget hearings. Following the passage of the affirmative action law, I think that the Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection must take particular interest in these and find out and draw attention to gender initiatives that can be seen in almost all the sector budgets, and not only focus on the gender ministry's budget. And I would take a cue from my minister and follow through the direction that he gives in this regard.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I would like to find out from you, as a gender champion, he for she, how you're going to advise your minister or encourage your minister to improve on the budgetary allocation for the gender and social welfare and social protection ministry. You know very well that they have a number of programs, especially with welfare, social welfare, where inadequate budgetary allocation makes them underperform. I'm asking this specific question because there's the need to take some action now. And I'm asking you, as a champion, how are you going to support that? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would hope and pray that by the time you approve me and President Mahama, what's the word? Swears me in, it won't be too late for me to make any impact on the budget that will be presented in March. And so if you go through the process with dispatch, I would go to the ministry and suggest to the minister that we pay particular attention to the gender ministry's budget and make sure that enough provision is made to support all the programs that you have listed.
Thank you very much for your answers to our questions, and we're going to hold you to all the answers that you've given as gender champion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mama Pat.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of the minority leader. May I invite you?
Honorable nominee, you have indicated on your CV, page 1, you speak English, Twi, and Guan. Which of the Guan languages do you speak? The dialects, the Guan dialects. Sorry.
The Enum Bosuguan dialect.
So, what's the meaning of Wochime?
I didn't hear the word well.
Wochime. How do you say what to say in the Enum?
The way you say.
Okay. So, say, introduce yourself in Enum. Introduce yourself in the Enum language, dialect. Introduce yourself, mention your name, your date of birth, your work. Your people will want to hear you and say a bit about your educational background, all in the Enum dialect, which is part of the Guan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Etreme Thomas Ampem. Inchu Enu Eneboso. Mini Amadora, Echu Enu Nemese, Monichu Boso, Nemosichu Enu. Kokomebo, mi ofrede, niwe mi school kanabo Enu. Yemula, we training college. Training college, I can't say it in Enu language. Ne won kase de se mekede ye kede mi boy esimi bebre ne ende yeli esojaman onade se MP ne yido se President Mahama ye ableme hana ne omoboa Dr. Atofos for Ministry of Finance mo amebi. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Advise the youth of Enum on how to prepare themselves for leadership, even as they are young. What inspiration you want them to draw from you? Say that in Enum. Let them know.
Mr. Chairman, Enu ebi poso ebi dami yokene sede. Nti sɛ ɛne ɛnu odani wemi school kana ne sɛnde nyido mi de fudo a ɛne nso hia sɛ ne ehu sɛ ne anyele anwio a ɛne bede bɛbɔ onyame manso ɛtɔ ɛne bo ase ɛkase ɛdɛ ɛble obu na enum de ne onyankopɔn bɛbɔ ɛne ne nso ɛde weso. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So your constituency is Sojaman. So you have Enum people there, And you have which other group again?
We have the Enum and Boso, and we have Akwamu in Esojaman, but we have a very large population of Ewe settlers there. They are about 45% of the population, and we have Krobos there. That is why behind me you see the president of the Ewe Traditional Rulers Association, the Dademanche, as well as chiefs from Enum, Boso, and Akwamu.
But they are predominantly Akwamus.
No, the Akwamus are
percentage-wise.
The Akwamus are about 27%.
Oh, I see. I traced my ancestry to the Akwamu area. You know that?
No, Mr. Chairman, I didn't know that.
I'm telling you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it means we have a lot in common.
So I'll come home.
We'll be expecting you.
I don't know where I belong. Part of me, Futu, and law, and then when we trace, they say, oh, Akwamu. So we all come from diverse places. That's how God wants it. So how is your tree, your proficiency in tree?
Mr. Chairman, before I come to the proficiency in tree, I'm happy that you have chosen to be at a Futu. So please, where you started tracing your route to Akwamu, stay in your lane. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I speak tree at the Akuapem tree very well.
So, say something about your experience in Parliament in Akuapem tree. Been in Parliament for 12 years. This is your third term, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Right. So your first 2 terms. Share some experience with us in Akuapem tree.
I'm a person who comes from Medjuma or Parliament of Ikasim, and it's a house of Bafofra. If you are saying I know any to and so what they have brassi, Penny, Awaya, Utimi, Esia, also Wetimi, Enya, Apenya, Ayania, Ubetimi, Aya. Meba Parliament, no. My Juma our committees, baby, so be gender, children, and social protection. Committee on gender, so my Juma our local government committee, so my Juma our finance committee, me and I'm a chairman of the budget committee, our 8th Parliament no Mansana. Yere eba sese adwuma no ade asa wo de wani eto ho a obetimi aye ni ye na so ni pani meda nyame ase se amame kwanya na meda esoja manfo so ase wanyame mujidi na mrebia woso mame se ni mesi won. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Do you speak some Ewe?
Not really, but Mr. Chairman, I'm sure I do better than the minority leader.
Do you speak Ga?
Not at all.
Ebe Esehogwa.
Mesevide.
Lona Mabe Madekuku E.
Adelku Mesevide.
That is the unlock custom. Unkode.
Adelku Ankonye Thomas Ampimnya.
So this is what you've been using to win the vote, right? So you go here, you pick something small, you pick, then you do this, then you'll be beating our candidate. That's what you do.
Mr. Chairman, I was forced to learn it in the last elections because of what? No,
you speak some Ga.
No, not at all.
What about some Krobo?
Unfortunately, no, just the greetings.
Now, so why would you discriminate against the Krobo language?
That is the next language I'm going to use.
Why have you decided to keep it late? Why are you not treating it as priority?
Mr. Chairman, I'm treating My language and precision is not that sharp, but small, I'll get there.
Okay, so on your CV, education, professional qualification, have you done your national service? Did you do national service?
Mr. Chairman, I didn't do national service.
You do national service? Yes, no.
No.
Have you paid your taxes?
Yes,
up to
Mr. Chairman.
31st December 2024.
Yes, I have.
You have a copy with you?
I presented a copy to the Secretariat.
Is Parliament work your parliamentary employment? Is that the only employment you have?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Would you be surprised to hear that you do some other business apart from Parliament? Because you are telling us that you don't do any other work apart from Parliament.
Mr. Chairman, I'm a full-time parliamentarian.
Do you have any registered company in your name?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Prior to you becoming a member of Parliament, did you register any company?
Mr. Chairman, I think I registered a company with a friend some many years ago, but we never did any business.
But it's a company you registered. Would you be surprised to hear that your friend is actively working with this company, though you are a director?
That is not possible.
What's the name of the company?
In fact, I don't even remember, Mr. Chairman.
Let's go through your party's manifesto on this women banking.
Unfortunately, I don't have a copy.
No, I would take the leave of chair and to allow you to come with your manifesto. It's very critical. You are speaking to women's banking, and you said Professor Nana and the President are passionate about it. Let's speak to it.
I said earlier, I believe we were here. I think now that I know that not only you personally, but your team's infatuation with the NDC manifesto and our 24-hour economy, we will begin to arm ourselves with our manifesto. But as I said earlier, the manifesto is not a driving license that we carry around. So I would not expect the nominee, if he hasn't got his manifesto here, because it is not a requirement anywhere, that he should arm himself with it. So if he hasn't got it here, then unless you want to engage him with what you have read in our manifesto, which I know is a lot.
Chairman, when you rule on the matter, our duty is to yield in obedience. I will accordingly yield. I thought that since this is a major policy of the government and is contained in the enacted manifesto, it could help. It will help if we go specific into it. But that said, I'll proceed. So this women banking, let me ask you. Have you read it in your manifesto? Have you read it? Yes, no. Have you read it?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I read it.
You did? What did it say?
I don't remember.
Okay. So you are here parroting policy. You say the government is passionate about, yet you don't remember what the women banking entails. You don't.
Mr. Chairman, I said I don't remember because I do not want to be asked to quote certain things that I cannot get right. But like I said, I know that it was one of our main campaign policies that will establish a bank dedicated to support women because women have peculiar challenges and that treating them and men alike as the traditional banks do does not give them the needed attention and support that they deserve.
So how is this women banking going to be established? We need to know the infrastructure. How is it going to operate? Tell us how it's going to operate.
Mr. Chairman, those are the details that I said, that once you are kind enough to get me to the ministry, I will work with my minister and get you the fine details, and I will share that with you once I have it.
No, but you agree with me that your manifesto is supposed to be the blueprint upon which your mandate was given you, your mandate to govern.
That is correct.
And you also agree with me that having spoken extensively about it, your suggestion is that you have read and you understand what the women banking is.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So are you going to open branches all over the country?
I hope so, but everything I say on this will not be official. That is what I hope, that we open a number of branches.
Leader, can I come in again? The nominee here is a nominee designated to be a deputy minister of a substantive minister. He's not a policy maker. He follows the policy directed by his minister. So if he doesn't know such a policy detailed question you are asking him, I personally wouldn't expect him to know if he says he doesn't know.
Chairman, we leave it to the jury out there. Now, unemployment continues to be a national canker, which you are aware. What's your own view about employees Ghanaians receiving employment insurance benefits, especially those who are unemployed?
Mr. Chairman, that would be a wonderful scheme, but it depends on if our economy will be able to support it. I doubt if we will be able to support it in our current economic situation, but once things pick up, I don't think it is something that we cannot do. It is done in other countries, and it won't be out of place for us to experiment it. But I recall that something like that was launched some years back under the Ghana Cares of Atampa program, National Unemployment Insurance Program, or something of the sort, by the previous administration. I'm not too sure where, the extent to which it was implemented, but it is something that when I go to the ministry, I would work with my minister to look at, and once the economy can support it, we can look at it.
In your manifesto, you promised to stabilize the national currency. You are aware of that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
As a deputy minister, what would be your advice on the approach to achieve this?
Mr. Chairman, price stability is one of the main functions of the central bank. the Minister for Finance has stated, and I even said earlier on this platform, that he has indicated that he would use fiscal policy to assist the monetary authority to achieve some of these things. And I would support him in that direction in the areas that he would determine.
We hear of broadening tax base, and all that. Same as found expression in your manifesto. First of all, are you aware of that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
If so, how does your government intend to implement this broadening the tax base? What's your own understanding of the approach to be used?
Coming up tonight, agriculture economist calls for efforts to boost local production to curb the impact of imported food inflation in the country as Ghana leads Africa's lower middle income countries in food inflation. This is Biz Brief here on TV3. I am Michael Obodu. We'll bring you updates on the currency and commodities market and take you around the world in 60 seconds. Agric economist Dr. Felix Larry Esilfi has called for efforts to boost local production to curb the impact of imported food inflation on the country. According to the World Bank Food Security Update for February 2025, Ghana is leading Africa's lower middle income countries in food inflation. The report shows that Ghana's food inflation rate hit 28.3% in December 2024, ranking it first in the region. Egypt followed with 20.8%, while Zambia took third place with 19.2%. But speaking to 3 Business, Dr. Esilfi said there is the need to boost local production to substitute imports.
The issue borders on the fact that we are not able to produce to meet the local demands. And so we have actually been falling on, importation of staples into the country, which is actually causing a drain on our cedi, stability, and therefore causing this sort of high inflations. And so as a matter of how we can resolve it, there is the need to actually increase productivity. And this actually can be done, through the use of agricultural mechanization, because most of the times our farmers are into small scale farms because they lack mechanization. And most of the activities have also been the fact that they use too much manual. And when you use so much human effort, there is little you can do. And so that is the cause for, low farm size or smaller farm sizes in terms of production.
Finance expert at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Lord Mensah, has expressed optimism regarding Ghana's economic trajectory, asserting that the nation has taken significant strides in restoring confidence following its debt restructuring program. According to Professor Mensah, government's concerted efforts, particularly its engagement with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, have played a pivotal role in stabilizing the economy and rebuilding trust.
If you go to IMF and they tell you to, control your expenditure lines and at the same time ask you to find an innovative way of enhancing your revenue generation, it means that you're on track by closing your deficit. And if you look at, the budget deficit numbers, we try to move from 11% for 11.5% thereabout, coming all the way down to 4.6 somewhere in 2023. which is a good signal because in 2022, we did around 11.8 to our GDP. And if you are doing 4.6 to your GDP in 2023, which consistently builds up into 2024, it's a signal that, yes, you are in control of the economy.
The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, is pushing the government to implement measures that will attract private investors to fill the expenditure gaps created by reduced public spending. The AGI House outlined several concerns that they want the government to address in their 2025 budget statement, including taxes, reliable energy, and government spending.
To promote business growth, the AGI is advocating for a reduction in taxes, a reliable energy supply, and a reconsideration of government spending habits. AGI President Humphrey Eyim-Dake emphasized that the government's continuous dependence on treasury bills is discouraging private investment.
Finally, the instruction of the President to the Finance Minister to cut expenditure. We have stated that granted that is the case, such expenditure cuts should lead to areas where private sector can bring in their money to complement government, because the rural to urban shift brings further pressures on the infrastructure in the cities, and then government's efforts to bridge the gap is challenged. So we believe, as government president has instructed, the finance minister should consider areas to cut that we could create private sector participation.
Chief Executive Seth Chum Akwabwa also cautioned against imposing a sugar tax on sweetened beverages.
There's some intentions of government on imposing some taxes on the beverage companies. And we think that that has to be looked at in a very pragmatic way, because if the intention is to protect our health by imposing taxes on sugar, they call the sugar tax on beverages, then it must be extended to all other products that have sugar. Otherwise, it becomes discriminatory. So we thought that that intention must be looked at. It doesn't have to happen.
And that'll be all for today's edition of Biz Brief here on TV3. For more business stories, please visit our website. It's 3news.com/business. Later at 6 p.m., we'll bring you more business stories on Business Focus. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for watching. We'll continue with our live feed on the ministerial vetting of the Deputy Minister nominee on Thomas Ampem Nyako. Please stay tuned. Thomas Ampem Nyako. Stay tuned.
That cannot be correct. A decision was taken that the raw materials component should be taken off so that the exemption would be limited to machinery. It isn't the case that there was an abuse in the system or that the figures that were brought, somebody had inflated. You see, but the point I want to make here is this. We are a country that wants to support the private sector. And you and I agree there is a private sector that creates the employment, not the government. Therefore, any initiative aimed at helping the private sector to thrive must be supported. Now, your party, in principle, opposed the 1D1F policy. It is the reason why certain decisions were made by your side. I want to know from you whether, as part of your policies for the private sector, your government is going to introduce any tax exemption regime for the private sector.
Mr. Chairman, if my government would introduce any tax exemption regime, it should be done sparingly. I feel that the way the tax exemptions under 1D, 1F was given was too much. And like I said earlier on, I felt that it was important for some work to be done to ascertain whether we were getting value for it. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I think it's important to correct some information put up by the minority leader. With this tax exemption, there was a particular company. When they submitted the request, it was around $256 million. Upon going through the document to raise the issues, they withdrew the application, came back, and it reduced to $142 million. This is the issue the nominee is talking about, not the later, when Honorable One became the chairperson, then we put all together, we'll tease out all the raw materials and the rest, that reduced from 300 to 100 and something million. Originally, when Kuku Kwatin was the chairperson of the committee, we did the work and reduced it from 256 million to 142 million. That was the issue the nominee is talking about. So the issue put up by the minority leader that we did not support tax exemption is entirely not the position of the minority. We supported the granting of tax exemption, but we got to a point, the numbers that were coming, we couldn't contain it any longer. That was why we took that position. So the Constitution is very clear on this matter. We cannot say we don't support granting of tax exemptions, but we needed to put the brakes so that we can make some savings for Mother Ghana. So we still support 1D, 1F, and we support granting of tax exemptions. But we need to do things at the right time. Thank you very much.
Honorable nominee, before I ask my next question, Chairman, the respected colleague to my right has sought your leave to make a statement, not to even ask a question. I'm compelled to respond to him. The records of Parliament will reflect the views they express on the House floor through their minority leader. They said that they were not in support of the 1D, 1F and that they were opposed to it. It is the reason why they physically prevented even the laying of the report. The practice of Parliament is for the minority to express its view and for the report to be laid, a vote taken. This was a situation where the NDC minority prevented even the laying of the report after there had been some concessions and some agreement that all parties had signed to the report. The words of the then minority chief were that if the report was laid, there would be chaos on the floor. As to what he meant by chaos, it is for him to determine. The speaker called us into conclave, had a discussion. They said they will not allow. If today, we, the 88 minority, we call ourselves the mighty few, should we say that we are opposed to your policy, yet will not allow you to use your majority to lay and take a vote, how would you feel? So he shouldn't go there. The 8th Parliament, a lot of things happen. You use, your might, brow, to have your way. We cannot even do that to you, a percentage of that which you did to us. So don't create the impression now that the NDC minority, as you were then, supported tax exemption. Hansard would expose the position you took on the matter. So don't let us go there and unduly delay this vetting process. Don't let us start a debate. You acted in bad faith. You said you were opposed to it. You frustrated government. Individual companies that had come, made presentations, you frustrated them. And you even said publicly for Hansa that because the elections were getting closer, these companies are companies that are affiliates of MPP and they were going to support us in our campaign. So don't say today that you are not against it. Rather, tell us that posterity is now dealing with you and you know that you bring exemptions for us to deal with on the House floor. That said, let me proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I think that we must put this on record too. The Honorable Minority Leader will testify that, and he knows, parliamentary record will show that we supported many 1D, 1F tax exemptions, and the reports were brought to the floor by consensus. So the position that we were against, it was just at the latter part.
That's my reference point, please. I say context in this exchange.
Okay,
let's
so
look at
in
context.
that case, okay. So
when I became the majority leader, the tax exemption applications that I came to meet, we met at Aliza. We agreed that the raw materials component be taken off. We were all agreed. Fortunately, members of the committee are still here. Jaja is here. You are here. He is here. Question is, after we had all agreed and done the report, you came to the House floor to tell us that you are opposed to it in spite of the agreement. Those companies are suffering. Now we are not in power. It's Ghanaians who have suffered, and these companies are still knocking at your doors. We know. And we know that you want to bring them after your budget, bring these same applications for us to consider. Tell us that you've been caught by your own mischief and bad faith. So don't say generally you've always been in support of tax exemption. I'm referring to the last one. The last one. From February 2024 all the way till election. That you prevented Honorable Buama from laying the report. You said there will be chaos.
Leader, just to remind you, just to remind you, 1D, 1F is a methodology of a policy. The policy is to industrialize. And neither the MPP or the NDC is against industrialization. So it is not industrialization that we are against. There may be certain aspects of your methodology that were problematic. And that I will admit.
Chairman, I agree with you. I agree with you. What I'm saying is that as a government, we listen to the concerns of the minority. And the minority grounded its concerns on the huge numbers. And we came to a consensus to take away the raw materials component. And a report was made. Then you did a U-turn on the floor to threaten chaos and prevented the chair from laying the report. That is a fact. So on record, you have said you oppose it. So let's end there. Now, Honorable Ampim, what is your view on this, your 24-hour economy? Explain to us your understanding of the 24-hour economy.
Again, before you come in, 24-hour economy is the methodology for industrialization.
I agree. Chair, I agree, respectfully. So explain to us the methodology for industrialization, which has been cliched by your party as 24-hour economy. Explain to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my party is advocating that we run a 24-hour economy where certain category of jobs can be done round the clock. This will provide extended hours of work and will provide job opportunities for many people. And if you look at our manifesto, I recall, I know that we listed some public institutions that can immediately provide a 24-hour service, like the passport office. And recently,
in those public institutions,
I've mentioned one, passport office, DVLA, and others. Recently, I heard the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, stating that they are going to initiate processing of passport 24 hours. These are areas that we think that we can work 24 hours, employ additional hands to do the jobs. On this platform, the finance minister said we would also focus on the real sector. And so these are things that we intend to do. And as a deputy minister, I want to remind Minority Leader that, as he rightly advised, I am a deputy minister nominee. And so if he is kind enough to release me and I go through the process, I will go and assist my minister in the direction that you said. Thank you.
Now, so what is the real sector of the economy? If you say your minister said you are going to focus on the real sector, what do you mean by that?
We are talking about the productive sectors. We are talking about road construction. I don't see why we cannot do road construction in the night, as we see in other countries. If we are surfacing the 37 to Medina Road, looking at the traffic there, why can't we work even in the night when traffic is less? So there are a lot of things that we believe that we can do around the clock.
So do you have any idea of the cost to government in this? Because all these are private sector engineered. Are you going to provide some incentives to the private sector to enable them achieve this?
Rightly so.
What are some of the incentives they should expect? The nation is listening to you. Tell the private sector what incentives they should expect in fulfillment of this 24-hour economy promise.
Mr. Chairman, one thing that we talked about was reduction in the use of power for certain times of the day. If you enroll in the 24-hour economy, off-peak period around midnight when everybody you can actually get incentive for enrolling in the 24-hour economy if you are working round the clock, and you get some reduction in the rate of power that you use because you have enrolled in the program. We also talked about enhancing security, that because the 24-hour economy will require that people work in the night, it will be important that we boost security so that those that will be minded to do it will feel safe and to do it.
Okay, so let me understand you. So what you are saying is that there will be a desk where company would have to register as 24-hour economy entities, correct?
Mr. Chairman, His Excellency President Mahama has named Mr. Guzitano as the one in charge of the 24-hour economy, and I know that he's working on the policy. In due course, he would share that with us. Anything I say may be a conjecture.
Don't say that those who be enrolled will get some tariff reduction and all that. Then take that out.
Mr.
Because
Chairman,
then that would also mean another form of conjecture. You are now telling us that, listen, you are now telling this country that there is somebody who is now seeing to the modeling of this 24-hour economy policy. That's what you are telling us, and that you don't want to commit yourself. Meanwhile, you are telling us that the 24-hour economy, those companies who would enroll on it will get benefit in terms of electricity tariffs, and if they do at night. Honorable Ampim,
Mr. Chairman, that is.
Can I finish with respect? There's a difference between a campaign talk when you're on the rally, say 24-hour economy, you know, saying that people will be weeding at night, going to their farm in the night. This is Parliament. Please don't try. Don't try. Is the policy now being enacted? Tell me so that I end here. Tell me.
Mr. Chairman, I said that the policy is in the process, but I also mentioned that yes, is in the pipeline. But I also mentioned that the policy envisages that there will be some benefits.
Which benefits?
To those who enroll in it, and the benefits includes reduction, time of use.
Ghana for being humusu by papa. What the interest?
Leader, I think you are actually jumping the gun. There is a man. Please, it will still continue to be peaceful. We have a manifesto and a policy. The manifesto eventually will feed into the policy. Somebody is out there that he had mentioned who is fashioning out these policies for us to get the details. In the manifesto, we did not say anything about we will give a tax exemption of this amount, or that will come in the policy and in the details.
So when you were what do you say was contained in your manifesto? Tell us. Chairman, you are not on oath, but you are explaining. Yes.
You're still engaging me. All right. The promises given in the manifesto does not come with numbers. The numbers will come in the policy, and they have to put it together. Yes, you will have a first visit with a budget, and you can then ask questions out of that. To ask the nominee, the deputy minister, about these details, first and foremost, is unfair, and he is not in the position to articulate what you are looking for, which is how much we are going to give in exemptions and all that. That is what it is. And he is not in a position to answer those questions. He wouldn't be. I would be surprised if he is. That's the point I was trying to make.
Though you are not a lawyer, but you've just given a certain ventilation that you've led him into a stage where you are telling him that don't answer questions on 1D, 1F. Very well. Honorable Ampim, you know your party promised 60 ministerial appointment, correct?
Correct, Mr. Chairman.
Should we expect more technical advisors to the ministers and deputy ministers?
Mr. Chairman, I am sure that number of technical advisors that we will have will definitely be fewer than what
would deal with your matter. And Honorable Ladi and Co should pay attention to your answers.
No, Mr. Chairman.
I'm asking you, should we expect more technical advisors, yes or no?
I hope not. Mr. Chairman, I am not in the position to answer this question. I am not the appointing authority.
Would you be required to take technical advisors?
I wouldn't know until I get to the ministry.
So when the need arises, would you take technical advisors?
Mr. Chairman, there are a lot of officers at the ministry that are supporting us. If there is a gap and there is a need to have a technical advisor to support, I will consult, and if that is allowed, why not?
Some people are saying that this government is a civil servant government. What do you say to that?
Mr. Chairman, I don't quite understand the question.
That this government is not a politician's government, it's a civil servant's government. What do you say to that?
If it is because we are reducing the number of ministers and that will rely on civil servants to bridge in the gap, then probably. But I don't think we should call it a civil servant government, because in any case, the reduction is about 24. So are you saying because we have reduced ministers from 84 to 60, the government has become a civil servant government? I don't quite understand the analogy.
Now, let me try and close up with this. You are aware that the president has only one term and not beyond, correct? You know that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And you know that very soon there will be internal competition as to who becomes the successor in your party, even as you're running a government.
That will be in all political parties.
That's we are talking about you. For now, I'm talking about NDC. Let's stay with you. You would agree with me that very soon there would be internal contest as to who succeeds President Mahama within your party for 2028 election, correct?
Mr. Chairman, as long as President Mahama will not contest in the next election, definitely there will be internal processes to select another flag bearer.
Now, in the process, how do you and Ato are going to be at the finance ministry to ensure fiscal discipline and all? Do you agree with me that in the process of internal politicking, it would likely put the government in disarray? And if you agree, how do you assure the nation that you would do what you can to ensure fiscal stability?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not too sure how the internal politics would affect our resolve to manage the finances of this country. But if there are any of those external issues, I'm sure we'll be able to navigate through.
You are a young man from Eastern Region and above 40. If they approach you to contest, would you?
Mr. Chair.
Rishi, make us start talk. Of Thomas Ampim Nyako, who is the minister designate, deputy minister designate for finance, and he's been answering questions from across board. At the moment, he's taking questions from the minority leader Alexander Afenyomarkin, who's been quizzing him on a number of issues pertaining to the NDC's manifesto and some of the flagship programs they had mentioned in the manifesto and how they intend to roll it out. And the challenge has been his clear understanding and
answering of some of the questions. And it looks as though the chair of the committee has had to intervene in the question and answer session between Afenyo Markin and Thomas Ampem Nyako, who's taking the questions on how he will be helping the finance minister, specifically when he is given the nod by the committee, and finally he's also given sworn in by President John Dramani Mahama. And if you've been following, key issues that came up during his vetting would include the fact that, for instance, he said he had scanty knowledge about the Women's World Bank, or the Women's Bank that the NDC promised in its manifesto. He said he had read it, but wasn't too abreast with the specific details therein, something Afenyo Markin raised key concerns about. Also, he touched on the fact of the 24-hour economy, which had been a key mantra that the NDC also campaigned on. So we would go back shortly to connect to the feed to hear what other answers Thomas Ampem Nyako has for the vetting committee, and then subsequently we'll bring you further analysis and a breakdown of what he's been saying in bulletins that we also have for you. At 7 o'clock, there's News 360. But let's connect to the feed. Before that, though, there is some breaking news coming in. And the breaking news is that the National Intelligence Bureau, which is the NIB, has invited former Railways Development Minister Joe Garte for questioning regarding the $2 million SkyTrain scandal, which came up in the early hours 2017, 2018, thereabout, when he was the minister in charge of railway development. Now, you would recall that former Minister of Education under the Kufuor administration, I should say, was also invited. Now, his role he played under the MPP government, I should say, was that he was chair of the Ghana Investment Infrastructure Fund, which is GIIF. He was asked yesterday, picked up over the weekend to answer questions and help with investigation into how the monies were disbursed. That is one key issue we are keeping close eyes on. Also, another major national scandal that the government is investigating, which is the National Service Authority scandal. Now, the National Service Secretariat, we know that they had an accountant called Yao Dan, so he has also been invited by the National Investigations Bureau in relation to the ghost name scandal of the NSS, or the National Service Authority. He is one of few people who have been invited. Some have already gone there voluntarily to help give information regarding how the scandal broke and how the ghost names appeared on the payroll of the state, and how they had actually been taking monies paid by the state when they were, according to current reports, they were not real human beings. So a lot is unfolding when it comes to this national service scandal, and it looks as though some persons who were in authority when all of this started are gradually helping the state with investigations to get to find out how individuals had names on the payroll, were taking monies, but were not working for these monies. So what's happening at the moment is that the news we're getting is that key issue, the botched $2 million SkyTrain, which many hailed because it was novel, but didn't see the light of day. Well, Joe Garte, who was minister in charge of railway development at the time under the NPP government, has been invited by the NIB, or National Intelligence Bureau, to help with investigation. And the other scandal we are keeping tabs on for you is the national service scandal as well. The Professor Ameyawe Kumfi I mentioned earlier was also invited in relation to the SkyTrain scandal, or the botched SkyTrain scandal, where in excess of $2 million was paid, but very little to nothing has been shown for that amount of money paid. So if you want details of this, if you go to our website, 3news.com, you would actually see the backstories of why these key individuals are persons of interest to the state to help with investigation in that regard. And as of late last night, around 9 p.m., we heard that Professor Christopher Meyawe-Kofi had been released by the NIB because he was cooperating with investigation, and it is in line with the fact that they thought he was in charge of the procurement processes and the final release of monies for the SkyTrain scandal. And it looks as though he needed to help with investigation. That was why he was invited. And on your screen now is the Honorable former Member of Parliament for the Isikadu Keten constituency, Joe Garte, who has also been invited by the NIB to give information as regards his knowledge on the SkyTrain project. And what shocked many was that at the time this issue came up, the minority at the time in Parliament, the NDC that is, indicated that they had serious questions about why government had paid the money, because at the time the payment was made, no feasibility studies had been undertaken, no particular areas had been designated to be the place where the SkyTrain will be built or constructed. So why do we make payment when we do not even know, for instance, whether we're going to fix the train lines from maybe Accra to Tema or to Tamale? No specific area was designated per the records at the time in Parliament of where the project was going to be undertaken. But on the record books, we had been told that such a project worth in total $3 million was going to be undertaken. And out of that $3 million, $2 million had been paid to a contractor. And as we speak, as of today, we are in 2025 February, very little to nothing is there to show for that amount of money that has been paid. So it is one of the key issues being investigated by the current administration to get to the bottom of it. And we also gave you indication about the developments in the national service scandal, where ghost names or persons believed to be ghosts or non-existent had been taking monies for several months. And when the calculation was done as regards the monthly allowance that service persons were paid over the period when these monies were paid, we're looking at over 700 million Ghana cedis. 700 million Ghana cedis had been expended to supposed ghosts. So the man on your screen at the moment is the accountant at the National Service Secretariat, Yao Danso. He is currently in the custody of the National Investigations Bureau to give answers regarding the role he may have played regarding the signing off of the checks or payments to these individuals who were persons they couldn't actually find from anywhere. So that's the key specific issue when we come to the national service scandal. A lot of other issues are coming up. We are told that ahead of the State of the Nation address that the president will be giving, we will be hearing a lot more of such similar, some shocking scandals of how monies were expended for non-existent projects or people who had taken money or used state funds for various projects where they didn't go through the right procurement processes or didn't get the needed approval before expending such monies which belong to the state or to the ordinary Ghanaian, you and I. So that's the development as we speak. But when we do get further details as regards who else is going to be invited by the Investigations Bureau or any of the other state apparatus, we will update you on that. You're still watching or listening to TV3. We are going back to Parliament. Hopefully we'll get the feed of the vetting, which is currently ongoing. But when we do get that feed, we'll definitely bring it to you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more on TV3.
If you're looking to listen to thought-provoking conversations, to avoid any further brouhaha, all this English to just say, I will do nothing. I will ghost him. So like what you feel like that?
I'm suddenly not feeling too well.
Answers to life's big questions.
Has someone asked you to do kapoha before?
I don't drink.
You go to church and pray for miracles. But that's somebody's money.
The owner is going to come.
For a show filled with excitement, laughter, and unforgettable moments.
Me, I live life full of drama to the left, to the right. If you see me, look this side, ever.
To games that keep you laughing. What in the name of Peppa Pig is going on here? Just As Tonight is the place to be, where the fun never stops.
Just As Tonight shows Fridays at 8 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Onga, Betway.
Maria da Paz comes from a family of professional vigilantes, the Ramirez, and falls in love with Amado, a trained lawyer and a member of the rival business clan, the Mato. Facing the hatred nurtured by their families for decades, Maria da Paz and Amado make a peace pact that ends tragically.
Thank you for she.
Will their love conquer the decades of hate, rivalry, and animosity? Find out in Sweet Diva.
Sweet Diva shows Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by MTN, Cowbell Coffee, Yamvita, Onga, Kivo
the
in Parliament. You're also watching TV3, our live coverage of the vetting in Parliament now. And just gone by was Thomas Ampem Nyakun, who was vetted for the position of Deputy Finance Minister. Next to face the vetting committee is Ebenezer Oklete Telabi, who is going for the Deputy Ministerial position for the Interior. So let's connect to the